Okay, my name is Glenn Miles. I work for an organisation called Love 146. It's a non-government organisation and I do capacity building and research with smaller organisations, local and international, to try and improve what they're doing. My PhD was on Cambodian children's experiences and understandings of violence and abuse, and over the last few years I've done several studies that are looking at sexual exploitation of young men and boys, and also some with transgender as well. So I believe that this is these are key and important research projects. Even though they're very small, I think that they're significant because so few people are really touching on the boys or transgender. The location that we would like to do research next year is in Sri Lanka and also in the Philippines, in Manila, with street boys there, and also in Phnom Penh at the coast, so with boys working on the beaches there. So these are target populations. So far, most of the research we've done has been with young men who are working in the massage industry. So we're now digging a bit deeper and looking at what's happening with younger boys. We do use the UN IAP ethical guidelines, and we of course are careful with the researchers who are involved to protect them, and also to ensure that the boys have opportunities to get care and support afterwards if they are at all affected by giving the information. At any point they don't have to continue in providing information, they can stop at any time. We are basically doing a very basic analysis using SPSS, and the results then are presented. Now, because we're only doing it with groups of 50 boys or 50 young men, then obviously it takes a more qualitative nature and then demonstrates some patterns of what's happening, but it only gives a baseline that's just starting really. So. But we just feel there's so little that's really being done with boys and transgender that we have to start somewhere. So this study is hopefully providing information across the region about what's happening with young men and boys. So far, the results that we've had are quite disturbing. There's because we're talking about boys, young men, and transgender women who are sexually exploited. They experience stigma and discrimination and violence, which is quite considerable and more than we expected, particularly in the transgender population. We found that for the transgender, that they experience discrimination and violence from the police, and so that's a group that really should be protecting them. So there's lots of implications there for policy and program development. And working with the police, educating the police, and so on. I think because we're providing very information that's more than just HIV, which is where often the focus is, then we're able to, for example, look at things like what are their hopes for the future, what are their desires in terms of other alternative employment, and so on like that. So these are things which, for example, with most of these young men and boys and transgender, they really don't see that there's any other opportunities for them to get work. So this means that we can provide them with, we can encourage other organisations to take this issue seriously. Now, I think there's also so in many ways this is an advocacy tool, and I think the quotes that we garner from these young men and transgender are very significant because they're very powerful when you have actual quotes from people and they tell you their experiences, then that cannot be denied. So even though people might be questioning the statistics in a small survey like this, nobody can deny that those quotes are real. So we're hoping that even if we were only able to get some small amount of funding from this, we were really hopeful that we can get it, because every penny counts. We're a small, relatively small international NGO, And so, and research is something which I'm really promoting and pushing, but at the moment we're just starting out. So thank you very much for your time.